Alright, so I've finished debadging and taking off the weather stripping. You see it there on the ground. I think I'm still going to take off my fender flares as well before I paint. And I don't know if I'm going to put them back on or not. I have problems with rubbing if you've watched in my previous videos. And I've picked out my paint. This is a gray primer. I have kind of a, sorry for the poor lighting, but I have this tan color, which, I mean, it's not the same, obviously, not even really that close, but it's not too far off. And so I think, you know, something like this would work to, you know, be close enough that within the seams and gaps, I wouldn't have to necessarily go in and do a real good job of cleaning those up, because it's, you know, close enough. And then I have a blue, and this is what I really want to paint it. But this would take a lot more work as far as getting in and cleaning up, you know, on the inside of the seams and along the hood and anywhere that it opens and you see the paint. So this would take a lot more work, but this is my preferred color. But what I'm going to do is, this is just a sheet of metal. Bought it for a few bucks at Home Depot. I have sanded it, and it had a sticker on it, and I thought, oh, I'll just sand the sticker off. But it didn't. It just kind of became a gooey mess on there, so I threw some acetone on there, and it came right off. So what I think I might do is get some more and go through, and before I even sand or anything, try to get all this stuff off. Because I thought, oh, I'll just sand it off, but no, it doesn't really sand. It just kind of gums up as you try to go over it. So the acetone should just takes that right off like it's magic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with a primer. I'm going to dry for a bit. I'm going to paint one side one color, and the other side the other color, and I'm going to hold it up and see which I like better. And I got a piece of metal because I wanted to see how it looks on the metal. I got a can of primer because I'm going to prime the car. I'm going to sand it and then prime it, and then I'm painting it. So I want it to be as close to what it's going to look like with the primer underneath it, because a primer can and does change the color. I painted a car many years ago, and when we painted it, we had an off-color primer. We had a green color primer, and we painted it a kind of a baby blue, and the blue ended up being kind of like a sea green, because the primer, even with mini coats, the primer still affects the color of your paint, so it'll affect these. Now, if you notice, I got, and again, apologize for the lighting, I got satin. Both of these are satin. When looking it up, what other people had done, anybody who had a gloss took the time and took out all the dents and dings and everything. And I have a Jeep, and it's going to have, it already has, as you can see there, it has a nice dent in it. It's going to have dings, it's going to have scratches, it's going to be banged up. I really don't care. My problem is this. This has basically no paint left, and this is just going, and this is gone. And so what's happening is places like, where did I nick it? Right here. Just getting a little bit of surface rust. Not a lot, you know, it's not rotting out, but I just want to go through and just hit those places, make sure that the paint's there. And I want it to be a paint that I can, you know, wet sand and hit again. And you know, I can go to any Lowe's or Home Depot and pick a can of this up for under $4 and just top it off, clean it up, you know, make it look nice again, inexpensively, quickly. And when I say nice, I mean relatively nice. It's never going to be a show quality car, but I'm not looking for that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit that piece of metal with the primer, and then let it dry for a little bit, and then hit each side with some paint, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done doing that. Alright, so, oh, come on, focus. So I've painted one side, and now I've painted the other side with primer. Now I'm just waiting for it to dry. It's still got a few damp spots on it. And once it's done, I'll paint one side with the brown, and one side with the blue. Now this primer dries pretty quickly. It says about 10 minutes. I'm in my garage. I painted with the garage door open so that it, you know, can breathe a little bit, but then I'm closing my garage because I'm trying to keep as much bugs out of it, because I can't flip over right now because this side's wet or damp. You can kind of see it's still shiny in a couple places, but I actually had a bug fly in and land as I was painting, so I actually just flicked off with my finger and left a little bit of a divot, which I don't have any super fine grit sandpaper, so I'm not going to sand this, but it'll be something I'll have to deal with when I actually go to paint, so I need to pick some of that up. But anyways, so just this is how far I've gotten now, and I will pick back up when I have painted it, so you guys can see the color difference between the two and against the Jeep. Alright, I don't know if you can see the dents in the door, the one above the rear fender flare. That's one of the reasons why I'm not going to be painting with a gloss paint. I've gone ahead, I've mocked up the paint colors. Now they're still tacky because I'm impatient, but here's the blue, and here is the brown. The brown's a little bit darker, and there's a lot of flex in it because it's still tacky, and I was far too impatient to wait. And I'm going to have to pull a Jeep into the garage to paint it, I think, just because there's just too much crap on the side of the house to keep it from getting, things like this in it. So my thoughts is on this lower rocker panel, and I know it's commonly done, but to do a bed liner from here, I don't know if I wanted to do it to this line or to this line. Probably this line, just because I'm going to do the whole fender flare, and it'll be painted to the edge, so I think it'll match better being painted to that edge. In a bed liner, I'll probably just do black, just because, especially here in Arizona, a lot of rocks and stuff get kicked up, and I just don't want, I shouldn't say I don't want, I want something that will hold up well to that. And then I'm thinking, the brown is what my wife suggested, and I didn't think I'd like it, but I actually like it a lot more, and it's actually not bad of a match. I mean, obviously the car's gold and not brown, but as far as just the overall color of it, it actually matches, and it matches the interior pretty well. But I'm a bold color kind of guy. I like bold colors, and so what I'm thinking is black on the bottom, and then blue in this section, so that all of this will be blue above the bed liner, and then once I get above this line, have it be brown, and I'll ditch the pinstripes, I'll take those off, and then from the top up it will be brown. So I'm just wondering what you guys think of that color. I'm pretty set on it at this point, unless something miraculous comes along. I'd love to do this maroon, so either maroon or blue, but I haven't found a maroon. I found a lot of reds, and I found maroons and glosses, but again, I'm not doing a gloss. I'm going to do a satin, and the reds are too red. They don't have enough dark in them if it's either a blue or a purple or a black in them to make them this maroon color. If I come along, and the pinstripes on this are just a vinyl or something, they're just tape. I think the red actually does match both the blue and the brown fairly well. So if I come up and I go to a paint store and they have pinstripes, or if I can maybe find them online, I may go in and redo the pinstripes on it, because I don't hate the pinstripes. And I'm thinking about the wheels. I like the stock wheels. I like the look of them, the style of them, but I don't like the color of them. The hubcaps are faded black plastic, and the wheel itself is just that silver gray paint. So I may redo those a color as well, but I don't know at this point what I do those. This process is going to take me quite a while. I don't have a lot of time. Every other weekend I end up doing work for the family farm, and the other weekends, like this weekend, is Halloween. So we definitely have a lot going on today. So we'll be doing it in steps and stages. I really hope to get as much prep done as possible, and then that way I can knock out. Maybe I'll do the primer on one day, and then maybe I'll take a couple days off work, do primer on one day, one color the next. Well, the primer dries really fast. The primer dries and it's dry to the touch and in 10 minutes ish. It took more. I did this in my garage with the door closed, so it was more like 30 minutes. But the primer would be dry fairly quick, so I could probably prime first thing in the morning and then paint one color that afternoon, and then paint the other color the next morning, and then be done. And then I'd come back and I would do the after the paint was done, I'd come back and do the bed liner, because that would just be rolled on and I'd be able to do that fairly cleanly. Just trying to think if there's anything else on this. Sorry for the long video. I was doing the can't think of what it's called off the top of my head now. The stuff to clean up all this. What I'm definitely going to do is go through and try to scrape off as much of it as I can before I try to go and clean it up, the acetone, just because it gums up pretty good and makes a mess. So I definitely want to scrape off as much of the black as I can before I go through with acetone to clean it off, just because it definitely makes a mess. But yeah, it's all debadged now, so ready to keep going on. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer anything I can. And again, my support links are in the description below. Any support you can give me, I appreciate. Mainly it's my Amazon partner link. If you purchase anything on Amazon through my link, a small part of that comes back to me, and I do appreciate that support. So thank you for your time.